Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty, back with the letter. So Ash and Isabella have just escaped a run-in with the ghost lady and are now here. So let's just get started. Luxbourne Park brings a welcome relief, though only by some. The chill that has seeped into my bones is still there, furling and unfurling underneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything, soon my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there are plenty of things to do. But this already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those deaths? Just how many copies of the letter are out there? Isabella can't have the only one if other people are also getting cursed. Could it be that the one she has shown us is just one of 5? Maybe even more? That whole pass this to 5 people business is ridiculous, but at this point, is it still? All in all, we found 21 people who might have read the letter, 7 of them deceased. 8 if we count Cooper. And that's only with what we can find right now. We have no idea how the contractors and specialists hired from outside the company are doing. If we are in any way affected. If we are in any way affected, we read it with the ghost. Although, you'd think if this letter thing was legit, there'd be a lot more deaths. How many more people are suffering? How many are missing? How many are dead? Can I still even blame the Wrights for this? If anything, they might be in danger as well. I think this could have benefited from a lot more side characters that could potentially die, instead of just Rose. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone, no matter how big of a douchebag Luke Wright is. You sure? It sounds like he's done some really bad stuff. There's also that woman. How do we get out of this mess? How do we get away from her? Shit, so many things we still need to look into. Yet all my body wants to do is pace, burn out whatever excess energy there is in me.
Ashton, I'm getting dizzy. Will you sit down?
It's the first time Isabella has said anything. She's been sitting quietly since we dropped here. Better and less distracting than watching her nervous habits, I suppose. She certainly seems calm now. Too calm, in fact, for someone who has just seen something terrible. But it's been more than a week for her already. People do get desensitized to things at some point. Even someone like Isabella. Who knows what's going on inside her head, though? Inside mine, there are too many and none of them would sit still.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Just shit. Shit. Isabella, please tell me that wasn't...
What I'm not expecting when I turn to her is mirth. One that she could barely contain. Yeah, because you've been calling us all liars.
You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
I'm not quite sure what she sees in my face, but in the next second, a laugh suddenly bursts out from her.
I'm so sorry. It's just that you should have seen the look on your face back there.
Yes, right. Sure. I'm not the one who's panicked. You almost ripped my arm off.
Yeah, but...
Isabella, this isn't funny. We could have ended up dead.
That woman almost got us. They're skipping lines again.
I know, I'm really sorry, but this is just too precious to miss. You really lost your shit for a moment there.
You're trying to get back at me, aren't you?
Well, I'm not the one who kept calling someone scaredy cat for years. How does it feel?
I'm not scared.
Really? Because it doesn't seem that way to me. At all.
I'm not, all right? I just don't know what to do right now.
Immediately after, the moment passes, replaced by another tense silence. Laughter dies in her lips as everything sinks in. We're in deep and it has finally caught up and hit us like a ton of bricks. Hit me more than anyone. Hit you more than anyone! We've been going through this for a week, because she's been warning us of this since day one, and I'm the first person who brushed it off. Despite that, she still reaches out to me, tugging at my sleeve, almost desperately. Her hands are trembling, and there's a tremor in her voice when she speaks. Without the cheer, only fear remains. One that she has been burdened with from the beginning.
We're still going to do something about it, right? Not just stand around and let that thing get us.
Unexpectedly, she leans her forehead against my arm and her grip on my sleeve tightens. There's desperation in there, a quiet plea.
I don't want to lose anyone anymore, Ash.
I wish I could give her that promise, but with so many unknowns, so many things I don't understand about this, how could I? I mean, you've been given a lot of these promises you can't potentially keep, so... Why she still trusts that I can do something about this baffles me. It all feels wholly undeserved, considering the way I've treated her. Yet despite my reluctance, I find myself returning her hold in kind. A grasp, warm and light enough for comfort. Not a promise, but the closest thing to it. This is music. Darkness blurs the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. The scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me, apart from one. There is only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. I really hoped that we'd wake up in Zach's place. I'd also like to see where Ashton supposedly lives. Morning breaks in a blurry mess of vivid shapes and colors. Oddly, there's no feeling of terror or confusion gripping me, despite the vague images that have driven me from sleep. Awareness kicks in shortly, though slow and sluggish, and I blink away the last remnants of unconsciousness from my eyes. Is Isabella curled up next to us? The early morning light already streams from the open windows when the memory sets in and the room finally comes into focus. Isabella's apartment. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly towards her prone form. She's hunched over the coffee table, both her arms under her head while she continues to rest. Then, to the chaos of papers and folders we've left scattered over it, before sleep had claimed both of us. We've bunkered down here last night, after both our nerves have calmed down, mine for the most part. Staying together was an unspoken invitation. And anyway, I'm pretty sure neither of us wants to remain alone. When there's that woman. Is she still one in the first place? One that we'd normally call a human? Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain? I feel like it understands pain.
Fuck. I'd rather get charged for breaking and entering than mess with whatever that thing was any day.
Not that thinking about this still matters when all our lives are in her hands. She's dangerous. If we don't do anything about her in this curse, we'll definitely be pushing daisies soon. I can't let that happen. Meanwhile, she's taking her time. And it still doesn't explain why Isabella is even being targeted, because she showed that letter to 5 people. I've dallied on this long enough. Left all my friends in harm's way after the warnings they've all given me. Besides, beneath the terror and the adrenaline that keeps me running, knowing what lies ahead for Isabella makes it hard not to take action. The paper sitting on the edge of the table calls my attention. At this, light against my hand when I reach for it. It has caught my eye the night before, but with a lot we still need to go through, I've simply ignored it. The logo emblazoned at the top of the page, however, provides this paper a whole new meaning. Not for me, but definitely for her.
A scholarship grant, huh?
I've only ever heard her talk about this once or twice, completing her degree, that is. She rarely goes about it in great detail, preferring to keep it to herself. Perhaps it's the fact that she thinks she's already too old to be chasing after it. It has been 5 years, after all. But I've caught enough snippets of conversation between her and Zach to know she has never given up on it. Despite how things have panned out with her father, she's one step closer to this part of her life. I don't know what this is. It's too blurry! As silly as this may sound, coming from a friend, I'd like to give her the chance to have this. Whether this means stepping out of my comfort zone and figuring what the deal with this curse is, I'll do so. If only to see that same smile on her from that time again. These days, the only moment she seems to show it is when she's asleep. Like right now, no matter how uncomfortable she appears. A smile of my own forms despite this, when I glance at her sleeping form again. She hasn't moved since, her shoulders rising and falling in a slow, even rhythm with her breathing. You won't think she has any problems this way.
If only that were true.
Sighing, I place the paper back where I've gotten it, carefully so I won't accidentally wrinkle or damage it in some way, and finally push myself off my makeshift bed. Isabella shifts when I carry her off from the floor and over to her bed, but doesn't wake, simply tucks herself comfortably under the covers I pull over her. Briefly, though, she mumbles something to herself and draws in another deep breath.
Becca, Ashton's being dumb again.
She drifts back to a deeper state of sleep after, like it hasn't been interrupted by the slightest movement earlier, but the small smile on her lips remains. When I find myself returning in kind.
Who sleeps like a rock now?
It's better this way. Better to leave her to her dreams for the moment, which I hope are better than the ones I've had. She'll have time to worry about her problems later when she wakes up. For now, this will be another thing I don't want to take away from her, a moment of respite, no matter how fleeting. She deserves it after everything she has been through, what I've put her through. In the meantime, I still have 2 other people I need to check with. Isabella will definitely get in a tizzy if I don't check on them. Cooled Luxborn air meets me upon stepping out the hallway. Not unusual in itself, this is what Luxborn's weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not, terribly dry with an occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky's still clear, but I'll give it a day or two before the weather takes a turn for the worse. I've complained about the awful rains for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something's still normal in this world, when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare, that's probably all this is. Usually I'll say, I've been through worse, but that's simply another lie I've told myself, isn't it? And I've fed myself a great deal of lies through the years, just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I hadn't been running away and ignoring things, hiding them someplace no one will see because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness. Zach's probably right. Perhaps I've always been afraid there's some damn truth to what Isabel's been saying, knowing I've no clue how to deal with it. And now, after it has stared me right in the face, I'm at a loss. Here it is, in fact.
The fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What does Zach? What does Rebecca? Z-Man has shown me photographs, mentioned weird things happening him around these past few days. Bottom line, he likely knows about as much about this as I do. Why else would he approach me, the guy who knows stuff according to him? In the end, all I've done is give him the brush off, some reliable guy I am. Well, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping for anything that might provide an answer, a way out of this. What could any of us do when all of us lacks any understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this, however. That thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zach have seen it too. She will go after them as well. Yet here I am, walking up Becca's door, one slow step at a time. A stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this when there's a 90% chance she's still pissed off about a whole different matter. It's the only reason we didn't check on her last night, aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I arrived. We'll only alarm her by showing up at her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics, and her anger can last quite a while. These days, it seems the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella, but even with her, Becca's fuming still takes hours. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking, once, twice, and 3 times, just to be sure she has heard me, even if she is asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
I hope she's not dead. Seconds tick by. No answer from her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night? That doesn't sound right. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts, and I bang my fist on the door, louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
My hand pauses short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door. She peeks out through his door. I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole, too. Course of action, so people like him won't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. I mean, I don't actually think he's being that unreasonable if you're showing up at the door and knocking and making noise and waking everyone up. Has done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't see how this is acting like the nicest guy on the planet.
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know, some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down.
Luke, is that you?
Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colorful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear him inside the 4 walls of his apartment. You know, I really think this building could use thicker walls. Like, it's kind of weird to imagine people could just hear everything you're doing. Like, every show you're watching, every conversation you're having. It's creepy.
Jerk.
And at the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. Must have missed her by an hour or so, but at least she's not alone. She should be safe, in theory. I don't know what we're basing this on. What day is it? I think this might be later than we've ever been before. Oh, no. Well, if this is Sunday, so Rebecca should be at the library. So, Rebecca's being chased by the ghost. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I'm thinking. Did they say she was meeting with anyone? Nevertheless, I still cannot but worry. It's an easy thing, continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. She's going to meet with Luke. Jag brashly to find out where she is going and go straight there without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to the both of them should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. It's better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I've guessed they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. That rhymes. This is one, right? Even if it isn't, anxiety from concern dulls judgment. Something I most certainly can't afford to lose any given time, especially right now. Any means to calm it will do wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already in. Zach, Rebecca, Isabella, Professor Clark, Chief, Abigail. Who's Abigail? I've already forgotten. Oh, Abigail is the wife, I think. That's sad. You know, she's a strange-looking woman. I don't want to sound rude. Pulling out my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zach's, Rebecca's, and Isabella's numbers listed. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with through the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbors, those sorts of people. They all come and go. But these three have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. Rebecca's patience? You met her? On the day these guys are just there, the next thing I know, being with them eases it. Oh, one day. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment, or something as simple as spending your day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. A phone call may be the least comforting thing at that moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We were already far from the people we were back then. But there's more than enough reason to check in on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sound alone might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2, 3. But when on the 9th ring it goes straight to her voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
This feels more like a message you should leave for Ash. Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Yeah, I remember getting this message after we escaped the library. Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. She's with Luke. It would just be so funny if that was what she said to him when she called him. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. Boy, you could not be more wrong, because no one helped her. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call, and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. Oh, look at the babies. Look at Ash's hair. Ash looks ridiculous. She's been my friend for the longest. Anybody else would have been fed up with me and left. The girls stuck by me no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella now too, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. Issues. I've too many of them to count and refuse to deal with for a time. At least, that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed mostly down over the years, thanks to the professor. But at times, I do wonder if it still burdens me the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustration back towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things, I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it, from my old friends back in my old school and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me. In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believe my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me. Snapped me out of my little sulk, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees the chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, nor did she leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend, nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail, then on my third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than to wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand. That guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a lot of people. His mention of plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca out of the four of us, but I still gotta check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay at the very least, whatever he's planned on doing. All I'm asking for is for it not to be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things, irrational or irrational, it doesn't matter. I think around this time, he's at the right house. Not going into a window. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers, or his voicemail at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to charge it. Well, you know, when you're dead, you always turn your phone off. Can't be. The guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or a power bank in his bag if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite a roster of VIP freelance clients. Will this be relevant later, like we need a phone battery? He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever his clients or friends need him. Zach's reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile in and out of range area seems more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said, and even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help and try to do something. If he ends up in trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to... Well, it can't be rash, I'm aware of that. I've been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty. The added guilt from those times I've repeatedly dismissed him will surely haunt me.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and some part of me is still that rookie, but I've grown thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Beck and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though it's more than a camaraderie no words can express. He has my back, and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having. Only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone, no specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe it's with Zach. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continue dialing his phone for another 3 times, like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and move to cut the call with a ragged
Waiting
accent.
game it is, then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them, just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually. With the anxious strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. And that's exactly when the line finally connects. Before he even speaks, my question has already slipped out, including every pent-up worry and tension in my body.
Where are you?
The line's choppy, though. I can still make out the words he's saying. Nothing to worry about, then. He's just someplace where network coverage is unique. Can't imagine where at this time of morning, though. Did he go out for a jog?
Oh, was that Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you? Hell, Zach, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
I've meant to sound as friendly as possible to keep things light, at least. Instead, only the frustration shows in my tone.
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you. I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even...
Please don't tell me that's his plan. A morning visit to the mansion, where Luke Wright is? Luke Wright is the least of our problems. Of all the pig-headed things to do right now, it's the best thing he can come up with? Breaking and entering? Hey, I didn't break and enter. I did not go in the window. I've got plenty of reasons to rail at him right now. Although no matter how much I want to give him a piece of my mind, unfortunately, it's not the time.
No, wait. Just get your ass to Isabella's place, and hurry.
He pauses a moment, a second of indecision while he seems to contemplate his options.
How urgent is this?
In truth, the question, the hesitance, and the indecision in his voice has caught me completely off guard, and understanding dawns on me. His decision to go there isn't one born of a stupid impulse. He must have found something. However, no matter how urgent it is, he still shouldn't have gone there, alone at that. Despite myself, in that split second of comprehension, I allow it to show. A weakness. A simple request brimming with every unease and disquiet, causing turmoil within me since last night. It bears a selfish hope that he'll understand, even through the unstable signal, that whatever's keeping him there, he'll be willing to set it aside for now.
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zach.
Silence fills the other end of the line again. For a long moment, I assume he won't heed it, and I'll have to drive there myself, just to drag him away from whatever danger he's skirting. Thankfully, he agrees.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or 2 tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Relief washes over me as soon as the call ends. Normally, I'd allow myself a moment of respite in times like this. Gotta stay alert. Rebecca's still out there, has yet to return any of my messages. But for the moment, I relish in it. This is probably the first time I've permitted myself to do so since last night. After that close call, Ashton spent the night at Isabella's, only to be kept awake by nightmares. At an utter lost, and with all his beliefs overturned, Ashton decided to check on Zachary and Rebecca. Unfortunately, only Zachary returned his calls. Well, very next scene, I think we get the call from him. So, even the muscles in my shoulders have been complaining from all the tension I've taken on. It still annoys me that all I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxbourne and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big a place for one person to go searching for only two people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last hopeful glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and close the door behind me. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.
This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this, standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stowing on the stove, while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it has become a common sight after the three of them, including Zach and Rebecca, find a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way, healthier, she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me, I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times, good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy. A strange fit with all the other things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose? Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
You did hear from Zach. I'll add in a quip or two for her if the timing for a joke isn't off or doing so won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to, yet. Until Zach gets here or until I've received an answer from Rebecca, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go.
Kitchens explode whenever Ash gets near them.
Stop hovering! You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
Where is the kitchen in this place? She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them so I won't have to even think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on, so many things happening. The papers we've gotten from BRC don't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this only proved there might be more copies of that dumb piece of paper. We have one here, but how many exactly is out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it, I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca, Zach,
They're
Isabella.
all depending on me, and...
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I've bent over and buried my head in my hands. Figures when she's staring at me like I fainted or something. Crease on her eyebrows grow deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands up, and takes the empty space right beside me. All done without a single comment, and then the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. The frick is this? Looks like an Oreo. The scent reaches me first. Before I've gotten the chance to take in what she's just handed me, a faint, sweet smell of cocoa leaves from the dish. Calming, comforting. Despite the multitude of things bothering me, it certainly smells like the kind of food you'd eat on a rainy day. Though, from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. It looks like an Oreo cookie soup, which could be quite good. What would happen if you boiled an Oreo? Kind Kinda wanna know now. What is this even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it? And milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is, handling me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging in hers. I want to boil like a whole bag of Oreos. I'm just not sure if the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As a background noise, the voices from it seem too cheerful, a welcome distraction, if anything. It's only after she's finished off half the bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish on her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then closes, a hesitation, though I don't push her. Probably something her father made for her. And she was sad. There's a distant air on her, as if she has remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's in a tone too careful, like she's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for them. Yet sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we haven't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the one she has proffered out a few minutes ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca are both out there. Who knows when that ghost will show up again? Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present, we have a chance at respite, maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us. Quietly, just sitting side by side like this, without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air, something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella's never pushes it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Well, whether I'll allow myself that break, she leaves it up to me. I guess we're gonna take the offer. Plus, we gotta eat no matter what.
Thank you.
Yeah, our relationship went up. I hope we get to meet some of the other characters. The words roll off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jest and quips we've shared. Yet she accepts this with a smile and nothing more. Regardless of everything left unsaid, the sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give. Though we both lapse into silence after, as we finish our food, there's ease in it. In this, in the muffled sounds of Luxborn filtering into the room, in the light streaming from her windows, and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair. In the way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it, softly, after a minute's pause, in words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually...
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowl she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice feels. Her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from LuxU.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open. Right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide, she snatches it away from where it was placed earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it, and anyway, if that doesn't pan out too...
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, a part of me believes they're a burden too heavy to impose on her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we are not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family always comes first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives her mere presence has changed. Mine most of all.
You have us.
Words startle her to a pause, and slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. This would be really awkward if, Rebecca and Zach were, dead. Because I think they can potentially, die in their chapters. I think Rebecca might have died if we hadn't reloaded that one thing because the QuickTime event was weird. But before regret forces an apology up to my throat, her expression dissolves to something I can't quite place. Something distinctly softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. What is this bridge we keep talking about? However, I don't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her. All of a sudden, a knock breaks the moment, and just as fast, both our attention shifts towards the source. Let's read the journal. It's going to spoil whoever it is, probably. After leaving their friends an urgent message, Ashton returned to Isabella's apartment. He found the girl already up and about, cooking. Seeing his exhaustion, Isabella reminded him that he should take care of himself first and offered food. With a muttered thanks, he accepted. I don't think it's Becca, because she gets our message at least, so maybe it is Rebecca. Wouldn't she call us back? Before things can get awkward fast, I stand up to open the door while muttering some flimsy excuse in the process.
I'll get that. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. I don't think it's either of them, that's my theory. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I fling the door open, a whole chunk of the stone that has been stuck at the pit of my stomach simultaneously unseats itself. That's a weird way to put that, so maybe it is one of them. Yep, it's Zach. There in the hallway stands Zach, his hand raised ready for another knock. Although he's not at his most presentable at the moment, ruffled and drenched with sweat as he is, relief quickly washes over me like a tide. He's still panting when he pushes me aside and heads in. The second his feet cross the threshold, he scans the place, eyeing what little he can see of the room from the doorway. When finds none of whatever he's looking for, he turns to me with a questioning look, one that has a hint of panic in it.
You said it was urgent. Did anything happen? Is it Becca? Bella?
Where is Isabella?
Everyone's fine. Well, Becca's not here. She went somewhere this morning and hasn't answered any of my calls yet. But Isabella's...
I'm here, Zach. Morning.
His weight shifts at the same time, the stiff line in his shoulder eases once Isabella walks up to us and welcomes him with a smile. He relaxes then, returns her greeting in kind as soon as he has let out the breath he's been holding and the tension's finally off his body.
So, nothing's wrong? Why'd you call me here for then?
We're gonna do a Scooby-Doo thing. My explanation can wait. He has a lot of explaining to do. The fact that he went to Anselm alone for some godforsaken reason warrants a proper one. Ghost or not, he's already been given a warning. It frustrates me to no end this might be the plan he mentioned the last time we spoke. I get that he's worried about Hannah Wright. Somehow they've become friends, but that's not the issue here. Not when there's a murderous ghost who might go after one of us at any given time. Sure, Zach made it here in one piece. By some dumb luck, he's all right, and this takes one off the list of the people I need to worry about. Frankly, as annoyed as I am, I can't just stay angry at him when I look at the situation that way. Hell, if that call didn't connect in that exact minute, there might have been a chance he won't be standing here. This is a blessing in itself. Though, first things first, some things still need to be discussed. I think I'm just gonna be happy he's okay. Except when I open my mouth, the only thing that spills out from it is my own relief. Yay, friendship. Despite myself, despite the rational part of my brain screaming everything wrong about Zach's neat little plan. We've had so many close calls within just a single night. Zach showing up at Isabella's doorstep alive, whole, and unharmed. I might as well take comfort in what I still can.
You're okay.
You did tell me not to do anything stupid.
Suddenly, the whole room feels too heavy, and all I am able to do is drop down on the couch. A headache also threatens to burst in the same moment, or perhaps this is what release from anxiety feels like? Regardless, I reach up a hand to pinch the bridge of my nose, even if it will likely do nothing to alleviate the impending pain.
Christ, you were right there! We have this stupid curse thing going on, and you were right there!
I mean, I think we've established it doesn't really matter where you are. She's not more likely to target you because you're at the mansion.
You just walked up inside a private property!
I didn't go in.
Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering, and that's the least of it.
I know, Ash. But I can't just leave things as they are. I've gotta do something. I know you're not very fond of the Wrights, but they don't deserve it if something bad happens.
If Luke's really guilty of everything he's done, he might deserve it a little bit.
Hannah most of all.
God damn it, Zach, I was worried.
And unexpectedly, he laughs. Not the half-hearted sort he makes when he's awkward or coming up with an excuse. A genuine one, before my annoyance grows again and I snap at him, though he suddenly catches me in a headlock. His arms looping around my neck while he grinds his knuckles against my skull. Helpless, I squirm under his grip in protest. Even then, it's hard to do so when you're up against a 6-footer.
Zach!
Aw, he's worried. Why didn't you say so? That cool act ain't gonna fool me anymore.
Let go!
He relents soon enough, though only after he's done ample damage to my hair. I hate it when he does that. But for a few moments there, the tense mood finally lightened up, and everything felt like how it used to be before this whole mess began. Makes appreciating little moments like this easier. Still.
Seriously, Zach. Why are you even there?
Told you already. I was looking for you.
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter.
This is why you guys should communicate more.
Sorry. I was really at a dead end.
The logic in it stuns me into silence, to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he has taken before agreeing to go here, and all at once my anger from what he's done wanes. Partly this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't berate him for assuming that when I've only left him with vague answers. Zachary arrived at Salem well tired and frazzled upon learning that he had come from the Ermengarde mansion that morning. Ashton could only express his relief that he was safe, and amused Zachary teased him for worrying, much to the other man's embarrassment.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any, and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. We've already established there's a poor connection out there. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head, then gradually he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asking for a confirmation. Like my word can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet, has been like that for some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all of it, I guess, flashes fleetingly across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night, but Zach at BRC? Ashton and I saw.
She never gets to finish that.
Sup, I'm Ash from
There we go again. Abruptly, my phone rings again, blaring its badly sang ringtone throughout the whole room.
I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy.
Imagine this ringing at the police station. Both of them pauses, waiting, when I pull it up to check the caller ID.
It's Becca. I'll tell her to get here as soon as she can. Excuse me.
Without another word, I slip out of the room and answer the call. However, I don't think you needed to actually leave the room. Could have just done it in front of him. However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Ashton, are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet? Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library.
And then an even quicker exit.
Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever.
Just be like, Rebecca, where are you? I'm at the right mansion.
Save it for later. I'm at Salem Well. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeakers and step back into Isabella's apartment. I hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying worried looks on their faces. This should ease them.
Rebecca's asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet the call left me an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for too long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but...
He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
Drop by, we never know where he is.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Unless she's a doppelganger. Full alive. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces. A small reaction, the younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedence for a careful observation nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more on her left arm. She's right-handed. Preston was telling us the slight limp she has, noticeable once Isabella leads her into the room. It all sprouts a hat full of questions. What exactly happened? How did she end up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her, in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising, at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to halt. Pause it to check the time for a minute. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time. Oh my gosh, I try to fill in for these typos when I run into them, but their eyes searching mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption, or the fact that someone has brought it to light. But that someone also has to make sure. Say, are you alright?
You okay? You're limping.
Good, she's plussed. As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force she almost stumbles back if Zach hadn't caught her by the elbow. I don't know if she'd lie, just tell us. Even with 2 more people shooting her concerned look, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe that when her other arm's nursing the supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a library?
Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Why is she hiding it? She was gonna tell us before.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort to herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room. But only the one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raised it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin started to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
I had a ghost throw a school bag at me recently.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you.
Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that?
She says, looking happy.
Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
I hit her with a book, and then I ran.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Knowledge is power. Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits us, all of us, dead. It would have been funny if that was like a choice, like take the book or don't take the book. Where are we at? To Ashton and Isabel's relief, Rebecca later called back. Soon she showed up at Salem while looking worse for wear. When the detective asked about it, worried, all the redhead could give was a frustrated answer. Fortunately, before the topic turned grim, Isabella stepped in. Dead. Another close call, another would have, another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. Really, I think this ghost just isn't trying hard enough. Like, we've seen what she's capable of. She can take the form of our loved ones and, like, pass for them pretty convincingly. I feel like if she really wanted to kill us, she could do so. Like, she could have grabbed Rebecca while she was driving and made her crash. I don't know. And she can apparently possess people. I hope we can still save Hannah. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it, at least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy, considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed has been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounters with a woman in his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out in even the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. I feel like they could have handled some of this better. Like, Rebecca tries to tell people, but then, like, everyone else is just like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep this to myself. Like, I know Rebecca briefly says, like, oh, it might just be my cold. But people keep making excuses and then just don't tell anyone, even when they start to believe the curse is real. And it's never like, oh, I can't tell them, they won't believe me. Like you could have told Isabella, Zach, about what you saw. Anyway. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon, and evening, and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smack the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
What about Rebecca's research? It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of that optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time.
Well, we also know those kids found it, so...
It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean-Marie.
Jean-Marie? But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from. That's where she came from.
Exactly.
Maybe it's just as the professor says. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca's brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? I don't know who'd bother hiding it. Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. But this might mean that what happened in the mansion years ago also equates into all of this. And the letter Isabella found? It's at the heart of it. The why and how is what we're missing here. If I'm going to do what Andrew told Zach, the connection between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than what we've initially thought. We won't be able to figure this out without looking into the other. Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of fizzing. We've been out this too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. I'll be it unspoken. It's in their eyes as they look up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few.
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. It's the pressure cooker. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of them are on their feet, while I quickly pull for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst a sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. My first thought when I heard that noise was that someone carved something into the wall. Are we gonna get a message? So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked, they waste no time getting to work, piling the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabel's unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. Somebody get a bag. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm a trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. Right now, the smooth surface against my palm, the trigger on my finger, provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I'm about to shoot the word.
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
What Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slight raise of my hand. The edge is there where they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, and I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Not bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. If we aren't safe anywhere, where are we going? In the next second, I'm barking orders.
We should go. Everyone, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. The pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor, with it force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles and the smell of vile rot assaulting my elbows. Nauseating, sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just an experience, or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes, the gun in my hand turns useless, and my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say, a look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times, from suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already
Ashton,
going to...
snap out of it!
Use your whip. No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind, an instinct kicks in, then
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while, I'm driving us out of Salem Well. Don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. I don't know where we're going. Plus, we know she can attack in the car. With the help of his friends, Ashton tried to find a way to free themselves of the curse, piecing together what they currently know, but before they could figure it out, a ruckus coming from Isabel's closet broke the silence of the room. Oh, we're still Ashton. At a fountain. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Ugh, was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Of course, I doubt anything can stop getting cursed by a damn chain letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates you to no end, how we're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface, scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago, I haven't slept at all, and my last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabel offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself, say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining about how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and how I reek, and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. That woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins in my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. I don't think I'd want to shower with that ghost woman after us. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she had on her as she pulled me closer. The memory's enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off of Ophelia's surface. Normally I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxmore police regulations only allow authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization, but I never really saw the need for its use when the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid have their uses too. On a ghost, though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. Might as well use a stick. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, or what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. But I can still protect the people who are depending on me despite the missteps I've taken. It doesn't take the edge off, though, the feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. My stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon I step out from my car, closing the car behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air was crisper and cooler than it has been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxmorton's normal. In the distance, behind the buildings, lining the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
Shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace as if it'll be my last. But as with all good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. The chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. I want to get off this freaking fountain scene because, like, some of these files are just ridiculous in size, and I think it might be some of this animation. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them, Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella, just as they've entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salem, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us have gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance any of us did, it only lasted about a second, or is a fitful one. Looking at them right now from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella's gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way they're acting now. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask, slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they dribbled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. Does that say energy sheep? The rest of them appear to be of the same mind, too. Soon enough, they also start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we are, food is something we can't forgo. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're gonna have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin? How about you put it in it? Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal, back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted, now we are realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor. But the one we've just had is short-lived. It's another thing I want to look forward to if we ever free ourselves from this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
So, yeah, I gotta end this part here. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, and I will see you next time. Bye!